It's a tale of two generals' handbook. Man, I tell you what, it is an exciting time to be an Age of Sigmar player. So many rules to learn, so much to sort out, so much potential opportunity for awesome hobby fun. Points going down, some points going up. It's just a crazy time out there, and it's really fun to just kind of be part of it. So we've got the new updated General's Handbook for 2018, of course, replacing the 2017 one. Both were $35. Originally, the General's Handbook 2016 was $25, so they went up. I think they took out skirmish rules out of this. It obviously isn't in this skirmish stuff. I believe is now in the Maligned Sorcery book, if I am not mistaken. Now, content-wise, very similar on what they come with, but the overall layout and design of the 2017 book is much more classic 2000s, like late 2000s, than this one here, which is much more kind of, you know, that traditional kind of look. It's more of a classic retro feel, like retro 70s kind of type deal. The whole book, it's not quite as powerful, you know, colorful as, you know, when you see the allegiance abilities and for particular factions that might have new battalions in here, which we're going to talk about what's new and what's kind of not, and just kind of give you our general overview. Obviously, we haven't spent a lot of time with the book, but you can see here, you know, the difference between the two right there is, you know, a lot. It definitely looks a lot different year to year right there. Now, when we open it up, I guess that's about the 2007. By 2017, it's 2018. So I guess when we open this up and start talking about the contents and stuff, why do you need this book, first of all? Well, you need this book to get the points to play your models in Age of Sigmar. Now, you can get the app, which I think it's like $1 or $1.50 a month on iOS if you want. It's called the Zero app, and you can pay to unlock points. And then necessarily you wouldn't need this unless you really wanted the battalions, the new battalions in here, and allegiance abilities. But if you play an army that doesn't have any of this content, you technically don't need it. Okay, so either way, you know, it's really up to you. Just be like, well, which one do I want to do? Do I want to, you know, what's a year's worth of $1 subscription to an app versus a $35 book? But there are 4 different, you know, kind of styles of play in here. They give you the open play games, which is like the old cards, where there's a table that generates things. The narrative play games, which is more on the apocalypse kind of size, which I forget what the apocalypse version of Age of Sigmar was. There's the open war battle map generator and such. I forget what that was, but that's more, and also historical battles and things like that. Then it gets into the match play section, which is probably more the meat and potatoes of what people like, you know, the competitive tournament players are going to want. They're going to give you new battle plans, which may or may not be, you know, what you see at a tournament. It might be the stuff in the main rulebook. Hard to say quite yet. Then it goes into all the pitch battle profiles, which are your points. You know, how much these things cost now and how much have things changed. Also at the back is additional pitch battle battle profiles that give you the points for like the scenery and, you know, some stuff like the Shadespire units that had come out and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy right there. Then it goes into the Conquest Unbound section, which is kind of like up in the ante on rules, where it gives you the rules for, you know, summoning, the / reinforcement rules, your allegiance abilities for things that don't have a battle tome yet or got one of the early battle tomes, like Fire Slayers or the Seraphon, which aren't as, and even Pestilence and Ironjaws, all Flesh Eater Courts too. All were early battle tomes that don't have battalion and allegiance abilities, etc. Now, if you're looking for the allegiance abilities for the four great alliances, those actually are in the core rule. Not the core rules you can download. They're in the core rulebook towards the back. Those are not in here. So they kind of broke that stuff up a little bit as far as that goes. So that's kind of a brief overview of what's in here, kind of if you need it, and specifics. Let's go through and take a look at some of the things that have changed. I don't have a list for you. Sorry, I'm not AOS expert quite yet. I can look through and be like, oh, that changed. Ooh, that's nifty. Ooh, I like that. Wonder what that's about. And we're just going to kind of do some of that and just give you a brief overview of what I personally noticed with my 3-year AOS career. May or may not have changed, for the better or worse. So you know what? I can't really make hide nor hair of a lot of the reasons for some of these rules changes in here, or excuse me, points changes. It just, I mean, I understand where some of the summon stuff actually went up in points. So things like, Pink Horrors, it's actually probably better to try to summon them in with the new reinforcement rules. And a lot of the Zinch stuff went up over the board, but sometimes factions where their individual war scrolls went up, their battalions went down, or their battalions went down and the war scrolls went up. Obviously, there's a few tweaks that kind of buck the system there. But yeah, for the most part, it's actually kind of hard to kind of figure it all out. There's no like easy like, oh, okay, this makes sense, or this makes sense, or no idea. Really no idea. Now, I will tell you this. Obviously, we know there is a new FAQ out. Every faction got an FAQ update, and also a lot of them got a designer's commentary as well. So make sure you check Warhammer community site. Perhaps that'll unlock some clues as to how some of these points, raisings or subtractings, additions or subtractions, whatever you want to call them, kind of shake out, because it's a little hard to tell. And again, release weekend, just taking a cursory look at it for specific things, I can't really tell you. I know for my big fatties, my Beast Claw Raiders, most of them stuff went down, which I'm grateful for sure, because they're a little overcosted, and now it allows to take some spells and stuff that cost 40 to 100 points to take the Purple Sun and actually field them. All the Gargants actually look to go down 10 points as well. So there's some interesting, back and forth here on some of that. Now, if you skip to the back of this section, it's going to show you the additional pitch battle profiles, like I was saying. Some of the stuff that comes in different sets, specifically like Flight War, or some stuff that's only in the General's Handbook now, because Seraphon didn't have those War Scroll battalions in their Seraphon book. The same with the Iron Jaws, and of course Fire Slayers didn't either. Maligned Portent stuff, Maligned Sorcery units. Of course, we saw all of that in the Maligned Sorcery book, and the Shadespire units right there. And then it gets into the Conquest Unbound section with all of the War Scrolls and things. But the stuff a lot of folks are really wondering about is the summoning rules. And here they are. They no longer cost reinforcement points. In fact, reinforcement points are no longer used in pitched battles. So depending on the faction and depending on the ability, there is a way to bring them in. Like, for instance, the Blades of Khorne, they use their blood tithing points to bring stuff in, right? And you have to use all your points. You can't halvesy it, and whatever you don't use is lost. So keep that in mind. And things like, Zinch, like I said, it's a lot easier to get Pink Horrors in using this than perhaps actually paying the points cost for them. There's just some interesting stuff to kind of take away from right here. The one thing I did notice too, Seraphons work similar. The Screaming Bell, of course. The Vermin Lord, you can only do onesies, because getting a free Vermin Lord, well, there's a lot of points. It's like getting a free Stone Lord almost for the Beast Claw Raiders. Now, there are the Allegiance ability section in here, like I said, the stuff like that, things that didn't have a battle tome, things that had a battle tome early on, it didn't have these additional abilities, are all in here. Stuff like the Seraphon, the Fire Slayers, the Iron Jaws, and then of course you've got your old favorites and stuff all in here as well. For specific War Scrolls, for anything that doesn't have a book or isn't in one of the 3 remaining Allegiance books, because don't buy the Greater Alliance Death book, because literally everything in that book has been replaced. It has a battle tome, or is about to, with the Night Haunts, and that's it. That book's basically dead. So for the other 3, if there isn't a War Scroll in there, they're probably over on Games Workshop sites. Just check them out, stuff like that. So that's pretty much it for this one. Get cracking, get your models on the table, learn this new Age of Sigmar, figure out your points now. We don't have any question. We all know how much our stuff costs, and for the most part, how it's summoned to the tabletop with the reinforcement rule. So overall, I think this is a necessary book. It's not as flashy as the last one, but you do need it to play. And it has, you know, about the same level of content as the 2017 one. But again, you need the points. So is it for you? I can't say because I don't know your particular situation. For me, it's great because I need to know the points for a couple of different armies out there, and it just kind of makes sense to have the paper copy on hand and be ready to rock and roll with it there. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed kind of our brief overview of the Journal's Handbook. Didn't dive too deep into it right here, but I'm sure a lot of folks are going to have a lot to say about this particular tome here over release weekend and heading on into the months. So make sure you work out those hobby muscles, hit that subscription button, turn on notifications to be the very first to like and comment all our videos.